Carolina's wide receiver Robby Anderson, who commented on an Instagram post about Mayfield going to Carolina with this simple yet very effective caption of no with a whole bunch of O's at the end of it. And so let me bring the football squad in here this morning. What did you make of that, Kimberly Martin? Robby Anderson doesn't seem excited about the possibility of Baker.
Well, Robby has to get comfortable with the idea that Baker could end up in Carolina. Do not be surprised if Baker is moved draft week. That could definitely happen, and Carolina makes sense, as well as some other teams, but Carolina makes a lot of sense because this is a franchise that is looking for the guy, and they need competition against Sam Darnold. But Robby Anderson, not loving Baker Mayfield, think about when he was drafted, 2016. I was covering the Jets at that time. The amount of players that have come through that organization, QBs, that he has seen, Geno Smith, Christian Hackenberg, Bryce Petty, Sam Darnold, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Look at that list of QBs that Robby Anderson has played with between the Jets and the Panthers. And he is doubling down on the fact that he wants no part of Baker.
This is a man who was a teammate of Luke Falk and Christian Hackenberg, but he's terrified of the idea of playing with Baker Mayfield. What exactly should that tell us? And maybe more to the point, what should it tell Mayfield? Before I get to Dan's quarterback breakdown on all of this, Domonique, let me just ask you that, because you have Baker Mayfield who is acting like he feels aggrieved by the Browns, and on one level I get it. But what is the entire league sort of saying to him with the way this process is playing out?
I mean, what Robby Anderson did is rare. Like, it's so rare that you would see a player do something like that to a potential quarterback coming to his team, especially because they would work directly together. This isn't a linebacker saying no. This is the receiver who's going to have to receive passes from him. And it suggests that maybe there's something more to issues with Baker Mayfield than just his play on the field. Because I can't imagine, given Robby Anderson's history with quarterbacks, that he thinks Baker Mayfield is so far below the rest of those quarterbacks. He's better than most of the quarterbacks that Robby Anderson has played with. For him not to want him to come there suggests that maybe there is something more than just his play. And for Robby to do that publicly and not just like sources say to some sort of insider or just talking amongst his teammates, I mean, that really should catch Baker's attention. I'm not saying that Robby is right or wrong, but at this point, it doesn't matter. It seems like the perception of Baker around the league is one that players or teams don't want him, and a lot of important players on those teams also don't want him. So it's something Baker needs to look in the mirror and address somehow.
Yes, I agree, because let's just say Baker Mayfield is better than any quarterback Robby Anderson has ever played with. He is he has been better at the pro level than any of the people whose names were on that screen. So Dan Orlovsky, particularly when you consider the Panthers have the 6th pick in this draft, and a lot of people are speculating that they take a quarterback there, how do you see this for them?
Well, the only quarterback that I would take in this draft over Baker Mayfield would be Malik Willis, but I want to touch on something that kind of Dom referenced. Listen, Baker Mayfield's issue is not what people in the NFL, both player or coaches, think of him. Baker Mayfield's issue is that he lost the chip on his shoulder. He lost that I'm a walk-on attitude and I'm going to take everything from everybody else because I'm going to work for it. And he had that little bit of a, entitled, I was the #1 draft pick type of mindset for a few moments. Greeny, this is a guy that 2 years ago led the Browns with a bottom 10 defense into the playoffs and had a top 10 QBR. I mean, it is the perfect scenario for a general manager in the NFL to buy low and look brilliant. Everybody thinks Baker Mayfield can't play. Everybody thinks that Baker Mayfield stinks. If Baker Mayfield goes back to that mindset that I'm a walk-on and I'm going to go win the Heisman and then I'm going to go earn to be the #1 job and in 2020 I'm going to go 11-5, then you got a starting quarterback in the NFL. And the only guy in this draft that I think is more talented than Baker Mayfield if he reaches his heights is Malik Willis from Liberty.
Why are you shaking your head, Dominique?
Yeah, because Baker's issue isn't mentality. His issue last year was injury. And I mean, he didn't get injured because he didn't think that he lost a chip on his shoulder. I think that was his issue last year. I do think the way that teams think of him and the way that players think of him matters more than anything else right now. That's why he's still out there, is because no one thinks that he's a long-term quarterback. And he has one more year on his contract. So I think that's part of the reason why general managers are hesitant to bring him in. Because he has 1 year on his contract. He comes in and he's mediocre to slightly above average, which is what I think we can expect from Baker Mayfield. Then you have a big decision to make. And then you might end up having to pay Baker Mayfield and keep him long term. So I think the fact that he's kind of on the fence as a player is concerned, and also what comes with that is Something that doesn't bother me, but seems to bother a lot of other teams is the Baker Mayfield attitude. I think that's his biggest problem.
All right, hold that thought, Danny. I'm coming back. We need David. We're coming back to this. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.